Everyone. My name is Roisha Young. I'm the recruitment coordinator here at Boston University Alzheimer's Disease Research Center. And this is Sam Rana. If would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm the program manager for the center, and I'm excited for us to do this event today.
And today we will be having our awesome study coordinators sharing a little bit more about their studies. And then after each presenter has shared, then I will give you all more information about how you can contact us. And then we'll have enough time or have some time to go into our breakout rooms according to the different studies for you to ask more questions and receive more information about each study. So today we'll be hearing about the social isolation study from Anna. And then second, we'll hear from the digital technology and digital phenotyping of brain health from Kiefer and Inja. And then we will hear from the Amylin Diagnostics from Sweta, and then FIND-CTE from Julia. I believe, Anna, you'll be going first, and you have your co-host, so you should be able to share your screen.
Sounds great. I'll share right now. Okay, and let me know if you can see.
Yes.
Can you see should I swap my display?
No, it looks great.
Okay, perfect.
All
right, so thank you everyone for, I'm gonna move my video, perfect, so I can see everyone. So today I'm gonna be presenting a study named COVID-19 Social Isolation Study that it's taking place at the CTCN lab, and the PI of the lab is Dr. Andrew Batson. And we both work with individuals from the Boston University Alzheimer's Disease Center, as well as participants that are recruited through the VA hospital. So the purpose of this study is really to better understand how the COVID-19 pandemic has really affected our social connections and how that has affected possibly affected our memory and thinking. So social connections have been associated with lower mortality, improved health outcomes, and better quality of life. And also isolation is shown to have a negative impact on cognition, especially in the older population. And communication technologies have been used to decrease social isolation. Of course, the current pandemic has created really a unique model of social isolation, and it may be possible to decrease social isolation and potentially improve cognition through the use of different technology and different ways of staying in contact and keeping on communicating. Of course, things are changing with the current pandemic, and we are taking that into account. However, we do still think that even if we are slowly going back into contact with each other, many of us are still in isolation, and that's why we're still keeping on with the study as of now. And as I was saying, the main aim of the study is to better understand the relationship between social interaction and cognitive function, especially in older adults with and without cognitive impairment. And our aim is to investigate the impact that frequent social interactions during the current pandemic have on memory, thinking, and mood. So there are different steps to the study. And of course, we do give the option to participate in, we can start with an initial step in an initial session, and then we always give the option to drop out at any time from the study, given that the study lasts 2 months overall. So it is kind of a longer procedure, but we do speak, as you can see from the diagram, the actual testing sessions that we do together are 3. There is one at the start, then one after 4 weeks, and then one other after other 4 weeks. And just in the first session, we do try to have two different telephone calls that usually last around 40 to 45 minutes. And we try to have them on consequent days. And all the other sessions, so session 2 and session 3, those last around 45 minutes to 60 minutes, and they're just one telephone call. And all these 3 sessions include neuropsychological testing, as well as surveys and questionnaires. And we, for example, have a questionnaire regarding the misinformation around the pandemic. And we also have a novel questionnaire regarding the use of transitional spaces, both in the environment around you, in the community, as well inside your house, and how the use of transitional spaces such as windows or your garden, your backyard, how that might influence your feeling of interaction and or isolation with the outside world. And then what's going to happen either between the first 4 weeks or the second 4 weeks is that you're going to have the option to engage in socially interactive calls with one of our research staff members. And what the interactive calls are, those are just light and engaging conversation, and where we really talk about any topic of interest, anything that is that's been going on throughout your day that you be interested in talking about, anything that you've been cooking, anything that you've been watching on TV, or even good memories or things that you would like to talk about and share. And usually the interactive calls last around 15 to 20 minutes. And we try to have 3 calls per week for a total of 12 calls. But of course, we are really flexible with everyone's schedule. So we can definitely arrange different types of schedule depending on everyone's day and appointments. And these interactive calls can either happen over the telephone, or we also give the option for them to happen over video. So as I assume everyone who's joining today can use, has access to Zoom or also other types of video apps. So we do give the option to use those apps to speak on a weekly basis, as we think that might even more enhance the feeling of connection and interactions with our research staff. And so that's about how the design of the study works. And as I was saying, it's usually around 2 months, but again, the schedule can be flexible depending on everyone's availability. And in terms of session, the testing session 1, 2, and 3, again, those we can arrange depending on everyone's time. So that's really flexible. And who can participate? So we give the option to participate to older adults between 50 to 100 years of age. And they can be either healthy older adults or individuals that have a diagnosis of mild cognitive impairment due to Alzheimer's disease, or a diagnosis of mild Alzheimer's disease dementia. And as I was mentioning earlier, participants need to have access to either our computer or smart device or a telephone. Of course, even just a classical landline phone will be okay. And we don't want to exclude anyone for not having access to a computer or the internet. So I also would like to mention that if you don't feel comfortable using any of smartphone devices or computers, telephone is always fine. And I also wanted to mention that in terms of the participation, we give the option to also participate to the initial part, the initial surveys, and then we can think about whether you would like to participate in the other parts of the study, because we know that there is a lot of other components. So this is important to keep in mind. And just some of the experiences of individuals that have already participated with us. Many of our participants want to stay in touch with us even after the end of the study. And some of them said that they really got to know a new friend by participating because, we're talking weekly. So it's a great connection that we're making. And
Sorry, I just want to let you know you have 2 minutes left.
oh, yeah, perfect. And many of our participants talk about their experiences with their families and friends. And they always look forward to the time of our weekly calls because it's great to have actually something in our schedule, especially now with the current pandemic and everything that's going on. And also, many of the participants that already are in the study said that they learned how to better use their telephone, their tablets, their computer, in order to communicate with us. So it's always a great opportunity to get to know better all this technology that is surrounding us today and that it's always good to know more about. So this is just a brief summary about the study. I can stop sharing. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anna. And next we'll be hearing from Kiefer regarding the digital technology study.
All righty. Can you see my slides okay?
Yes, they look great.
Great. So just before I begin, I want to let everybody know that the next presentation will be done by my colleague Spencer, who's filling in for Anita. And we will actually work kind of together, but these are different projects, but we work together. So if you're wondering why they seem awfully similar, it's because they're similar type projects, but a little different. So I just wanted to let you know that. And so this study is called the Digital Technology Study, or Dana High Frequency. And that's because, I can get into it here. Oops. Oh, there we go. So our goal in our lab is to understand how to use technology to understand and address Alzheimer's disease. And specifically for this study, we want to be able to use a smartphone to compare that traditional information that's collected from the BU-ADC, so a lot of paper and pencil tests, and all different kinds of measures that they collect, and compare that to an application that you would complete on your smartphone. And one of the big benefits of doing using a smartphone in this study is that the study, joining the study would mean that you would do an initial study visit with us. So we would do that over Zoom or over the phone. But after that, everything would be done remotely in the comfort of your own home. And part of the reason we want to do that is because we want to measure how your memory and thinking kind of fluctuates over the course of a day, week, several months, because we kind of have an idea that it does fluctuate, but we haven't been able to measure it that well when most of our measurement tools have involved coming into lab in person. So that's kind of the overview of our research, and a little bit more background on kind of how we selected this application. And the reason that we know it's valuable is we had a much more comprehensive version of this study over the last few years, which really which included in-person and remote assessment, and we had all different types of applications and technologies to measure things like balance and collect your medical records and do memory and thinking testing. And from that, we selected a few of the applications and technologies that we found were kind of most helpful, which are those circled in red. And those are some of the same applications that my colleague Spencer is going to talk about in a minute for our newest project. But for this project, we wanted to really drill down and see if we asked our participants to just do this one application called Dana at a higher frequency, what kind of information we could learn from that. And so that's why this is called the high frequency study. And what it involves, here's a look at the inclusion and exclusion criteria. So to be involved in the study, you just need to own a smartphone, be 40 years of age, and be enrolled in a BU-ADC study already, and have English as your primary language. And like I said before, it would kind of, the first step would be seeing if you're eligible for the study, at which point we could schedule a study visit. And that would take about an hour, sometimes less, over Zoom or phone. We would go over the consent form, download the application, you can kind of do a practice run through the application. There's a few screenshots over here with the alien and the login screen, and the application just takes about 5 minutes to complete. And then you would actually just complete that same application over the course of 12 months. And so the schedule is a little confusing to look at first, but we would send you home with this piece of paper here that would have the dates, kind of a range of dates in which we would hope that you would complete the application. And we have it broken down into 4 different segments to kind of keep you engaged in the study. And we would check in with you, send you texts, emails, phone calls, whatever it kind of takes for it to be convenient for you to complete this application. And we have, like I said here, we have it broken down into 4 segments. Each segment, if you complete it kind of on time, then we are providing a $25 gift card. So that's $100 gift card, $100 in gift cards total over the course of 12 months. And so this is kind of a look at the schedule. And like I said, the benefits, besides the $25 gift card, which everybody likes, the real benefit is to contribute to Alzheimer's disease and brain health research. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, perfect. And then I will take over for the second part, hopefully, though I don't know if I'll be able to because I was a new addition.
You should be able to share now. Sorry.
Perfect. No worries. Everyone can see the screen all right? Awesome. So this is kind of an extension of what Kiefer mentioned. We're calling it the digital phenotyping of brain health. So as Kiefer mentioned again, our goal is to better understand Alzheimer's disease and dementia through the use of technologies such as smartphone applications. So Kiefer mentioned one of them, which was the Dana application, or wearable devices. So Fitbits, Garmin's, the like, similar to those. So we wanted to use these devices because this allows you to track people within the home instead of just tracking them within the lab where there's some differences coming through there. So we wanted to make sure to collect people's data over the course of the day. So the study procedures for this particular study is there's 2 remote visits. Part 1 is an informed consent and technology introduction. So we'll walk you through all of the technologies that we're offering. And then part 2, we'll do application installation, account creation, and device training. So we'll teach you how to charge the devices, how to properly install them, and then to make sure that they're running when you eventually get up and running in the study. We do allow you to choose your own devices and applications. So we'll provide a whole list, and then you can choose as many or as few as you would like. And we allow you to set your own schedule for the usage. We will supply recommendations to allow you to kind of get an idea of what we're looking for, but we're very willing to negotiate in terms of if it's too much or if you think that you can take on more. Very willing to cooperate with you. You just need to reach out to us and we'll make sure that you get as much as possible. And then we'll continue to update you with technology instructions and support throughout the study, and even offer more technology as more becomes available. So we'll kind of be on the cutting edge there. And then here are 3 kind of subgroups of technologies that we're offering. So wearable devices, active applications. So that would be similar to the Dana app that Kiefer talked about, where you would be required to fill out a short battery or maybe a push notification or something like that every once in a while. And then passive applications would be once they're downloaded on your phone, you basically just let them sit there and they'll collect data for us. And you won't have to do anything further than that. So here are some example technologies that we'll be using. The Dana app, which Kiefer mentioned. MyMeds, which is you would put in your medication schedule, and then from there, it would send a push notification each day where you would say yes or no, did you take your medication? Lumosity is a game-based brain app. So you could do like memory tasks or various other games. So it gamifies the data that we'd be looking for. And then wearables, Fitbit, as I mentioned earlier. And then there's some stuff for sleep. So the CheckMe O2 is something that you would wear on your thumb, and it would collect data regarding your sleep schedule. And then Dream is an EEG-based device that you would wear while sleeping. Here's a quick run through the study schedule I mentioned a little bit earlier. Right now, we'd be looking at primarily remote, but once in-clinic became an option, we'd be doing a functional fitness assessment and a body composition test using some of the technology that I referred to earlier. And then here are all of the different options that we're tracking through. So physical activity, cardiovascular health, et cetera, et cetera. And then this is kind of the time frame that we'd be hoping that you would use them for. So we would set this up for once every 3 months or quarterly. And then for some of the stuff that's more passive, you could just do throughout the duration of the study. And that would be over the course of a 2-year data collection period. And then here's the inclusion criteria. We need you to own a smartphone because some of these apps are only smartphone based, at least 40 years of age, enrolled in a BU ADC study, English fluent, and ability to connect to internet using a smartphone. And looking forward to talking to you guys in the breakout room. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Spencer. And now we'll hear from Sweta regarding the Amylin Diagnostics study.
One second. Hi, everyone. This is Shweta Chapurapu. I am a project manager in the Department of Pharmacology and Experimental Therapeutics, and our clinical trial is the multi-center development of a novel diagnostic test for Alzheimer's disease. Okay. So first, before going to the clinical trial, I want to quickly talk about what is Alzheimer's disease and dementia in general. So dementia is just a general term that we use for symptoms like memory loss, language, problem solving, and other thinking abilities, which are so severe that they start to interfere with daily life. And Alzheimer's disease is usually the most common type of dementia. And it's also a progressive disease in the sense that initially the memory loss is quite mild, but as the disease progresses, that is in the late stage of Alzheimer's, the individuals lose their complete ability to carry on a conversation and also just to respond to the environment. And if you just look at the risk factors, right, there are a couple of risk factors like age. Age itself is not a cause of Alzheimer's, but it's a major risk factor. And most individuals with Alzheimer's are people who are like 65 and older. After the age of 65, what happens is the risk for Alzheimer's doubles every 5 years. And once you reach 85, the risk reaches nearly 1/3. And there's also family history. If somebody in your family member has Alzheimer's, then the person is prone to get Alzheimer's. There's more risk of getting Alzheimer's. And there's also genetics, like you have some genes like ApoE4 and others like head injury. And so what causes Alzheimer's is that in brain, usually it's made up of these nerve cells called neurons, which communicate with each other, and then because of which a person can communicate and talk to people in a normal way. But in case of Alzheimer's, there are these two abnormal structures, which are called the plaques and the tangles, which form in the brain, and then they start to kill the nerve cells, because of which they stop communicating with each other. This is what causes like memory failure and all the other symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. So for this clinical trial itself, the plaque is what's the most important part. So plaques are usually deposits of this protein fragment called beta amyloid, which builds up between these neurons. So the purpose of our clinical trial is to develop a simple blood test to diagnose Alzheimer's disease. So there's a simple blood test to diagnose diabetes, and there's also a simple blood test to diagnose diseases like prostate cancer. So we thought, why not for Alzheimer's disease? That will just give you the ability to get an earlier diagnosis. So for this study, we are using this drug called pramlintide, which is an FDA-approved diabetic drug. And how it works is once you inject pramlintide into a person, pramlintide has the ability to cross the blood-brain barrier. And once it reaches the brain, in case of Alzheimer's, the brain has these amyloid beta deposits, and pramlintide has the ability to push these amyloid beta deposits from the brain to the blood. And then you collect the blood from the person, and then you try to measure the amyloid beta levels. But we are using very minimal amount of pramlintide, so we cannot use it to treat Alzheimer's, but it has the ability to mobilize little bit of amyloid beta, because of which we can diagnose it but not treat it. So in this study, we have like 4 visits. The first visit itself, we are going to explain about the study and get your informed consent. And the main part of this visit is the PET scan visit. So in the PET scan visit, what we are trying to do is we want to detect if you have amyloid beta deposits in the brain and how much of it is there. That's the purpose of the first visit. And it takes about 1 to 2 hours. And after that, there's a lumbar puncture visit, which is an optional visit. If you don't want to participate in it, it's totally fine. So the purpose of this is to deduct soluble amyloid beta deposits in cerebrospinal fluid. And again, this one takes about 2 to 3 hours. And this can be done on the same day as PET scan visit, or you can schedule it for some other day. And then we have the main visits, which are the pramlintide drug visits. We have 2 visits for this, but both are actually quite similar, except for the difference in the dose that we use. The first visit of the drug visit is we'll be giving either 60 mcg of pramlintide drug or 120 mcg of pramlintide drug. We are using these 2 different doses because we want to see which one is enough to mobilize the amyloid beta deposits. And after giving this pramlintide drug, we are going to draw 3 ml of blood through IV every 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and 180 minutes. This is because we want to check at every time point how much of the amyloid beta deposit has mobilized and how much is enough to diagnose Alzheimer's. And again, in the second visit, second drug visit, the same thing is going to happen. We'll give, if you receive 60 mcg in the first drug visit, you'll be receiving the 120 mcg in the second drug visit. And once again, we'll also draw blood to measure the level of amyloid beta. So in the first, and these drug visits last for about 3 to 4 hours, and they have to take place within a span of 1 month. So these are the study visits. And then coming to the inclusion exclusion criteria, for the inclusion criteria, it's you have to be a current research subject at BUADC, the Boston University ADC Center, or you can also be a participant at VA. Then you have to have a diagnosis of either probable Alzheimer's disease or amnestic mild cognitive and impairment and control, or you can be a control, and the age is either 60 to 90 years. And exclusion criteria is because we are using a diabetic drug, we want to exclude participants who have diabetes mellitus, gastroparesis, and a couple of other diseases like stroke, seizures, or history of brain injury, and also infection within the last 1 month. So, so the reason the study is very important, or why we need a simple diagnostic test, is because right now there are 5.8 million Americans with Alzheimer's disease, and the projected increase is that by 2025, there might be 7.1 million, and by 2050, there might be 13.8 million. And as of now, there's no cure for Alzheimer's disease, but there's definitely treatment to slow down the progress of the symptoms for Alzheimer's, by which we can improve the quality of life. And to treat the symptoms, it's important that we need to get an early diagnosis. And so we are hoping that having a simple blood test can give this early diagnosis and also increase the frequency of tests. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And now we'll have Julia.
Hey, hi everybody. All right, so let me start my slideshow. All right, so I am Julia. I'm a study coordinator for a new study that just got approved very recently. It's called FIND-CTE. So it stands for Focused Imaging for the Neurodegenerative Disease Chronic Traumatic Encephalopathy. So as you can tell, that's a little bit of a mouthful. So we came up with this fun acronym, so I don't have to keep saying it over and over. So a little bit about our study. So CTE is a brain disease that is associated with repetitive hits to the head. And this is often seen in football players and other contact sport athletes. So unfortunately, CTE can't be diagnosed during life. You can only diagnose it after someone has passed away and we do a brain autopsy. So the major goal of our research project is to begin to develop methods of possibly diagnosing this disease during life and to begin developing interventions for those affected by the disease, whether that be the individual themselves or, their family, any caregivers they had, and anyone really in their life. But what we aim to do is compare PET tracer retention between symptomatic former NFL players and people with normal cognition, people with mild cognitive impairment, and people with dementia due to Alzheimer's disease. And what we want is to understand the differences between CTE and other brain diseases like mild cognitive impairment and dementia due to Alzheimer's disease. So we want to essentially compare these groups with each other. And what would happen during the study? So it would be your annual ADRC evaluation, and that would involve a neurological evaluation, some neuropsychological testing, which would be some memory tests, and an MRI, plus 2 PET scans. So these 2 PET scans, there is one amyloid PET scan, which is FDA approved, and then there is one tau PET scan, which is experimental. So it's been approved by the FDA to use in research studies like this one, but it has not yet been approved for clinical use. So we're using it now in our study to see how it works and if it works. So again, a little bit more about the procedure and the study schedule. You would have your annual Alzheimer's Disease Research Center evaluation, which would take just as long as it normally or typically would. And then you would have one amyloid PET scan and then one tau PET scan. So these need to be at least 24 hours apart, and they need to be done within 30 days of each other. So ideally, we would love for you to come in 3 days in a row to do your evaluation, to do one PET scan, and then to do another PET scan the following day. But of course, we can make arrangements and scheduling adjustments to best fit your schedule if you are interested. So the PET scans each would take about 1 to 2 hours. So total, when we think about both of them, it would take about 3 to 4 hours total to do both. And then criteria, so some inclusion criteria here. You must be a male and you must be between 45 and 74. You can have normal cognition, mild cognitive impairment, or dementia due to Alzheimer's disease. You must be fluent in English. And since we are doing PET scans, you must be able to lie, and an MRI, you must be able to lie flat for 45 minutes. You also must have a study partner with you. So if you are enrolled in our ADRC, you probably already have a study partner that comes with you to your appointments and your visits. So the same goes with this. You would need a study partner to come with you. They would answer some questions about you. We'd interview both of you separately, and just to be able to give us a better picture of who you are. And this person, it can be a spouse, a partner, a friend, a family member, anyone that spends a significant amount of time with you and would be able to answer questions about you, your mood, behavior, your day-to-day life, and your daily functioning. We also ask that for participants to have no previous participation in American football, boxing, martial arts, or other fighting sports. And we ask that no one with military service history participates as well. So, and that's all I have. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much to all our presenters. I really appreciate all the great information you all share with us. And if you all would like to hear more or more information on how to participate, you can contact me here. My email address is youngra@bu.edu, and I will also put my information in the chat box. And then now Samrana is going to show us how we